Hey everyone, welcome back to Speak Up, the place where we help you level up your English skills, one podcast at a time. Whether you're here to improve English fluency, learn English speaking tips, or just enjoy some daily English conversation, you're in the right place. We know how challenging it can be to understand native English speakers, especially when they talk fast, but don't worry, we've got your back. Today's episode is packed with practical tips to help you learn English fast and feel more confident in real-life conversations. So, grab a notebook, sit back, and let's get started.
We're so glad you're here with us today. Whether you're a long-time listener or tuning in for the first time, thank you for spending your time with us. We truly appreciate it. At Speak Up, our goal is to make learning English fun, practical, and accessible for everyone. Whether you're looking to fix English grammar mistakes, expand your English vocabulary, or even master English tenses, we're here to guide you every step of the way. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Now, let's dive into today's topic.
Before we jump in, let's talk about why this topic is so important. Many English learners struggle with understanding fast English speakers, and it's not just about speed. Native speakers use connected speech, slang, and reductions that can make their words sound completely different from what you've learned in textbooks. But here's the good news. Once you understand these patterns, fast English becomes much easier to follow. In today's episode, we'll break down these challenges and give you actionable strategies to improve your listening skills and speak English confidently.
Exactly, Ryan. And the best part is you don't need to be in an English-speaking country to practice. You can learn English at home by watching movies, listening to podcasts, or even using apps like Duolingo or BBC Learning English. We'll also share tips on how to stop translating in your head and start thinking in English, which is a game changer for fluency. So, whether you're preparing for a job interview, traveling, or just want to sound like a native speaker, this episode is for you. Let's get started.
Have you ever felt completely lost when a native English speaker talks too fast? Like they're speaking a completely different language. You're not alone. In fact, this is one of the most common struggles for English learners. Whether you're trying to improve English fluency, practice English listening, or just keep up with a conversation, fast English can feel overwhelming. But here's the good news, it's not your fault. Native speakers use things like connected speech, slang, and reductions that aren't taught in textbooks. And if you're still translating in your head, it's even harder to keep up. But don't worry, we're here to help you crack the code.
And here's the thing. It's not just about speed. There are hidden reasons why fast English feels impossible to understand. For example, native speakers often drop sounds, blend words together, and use stress and intonation in ways that can confuse learners. But the real game changer is training your ears to catch these patterns. In today's episode, we'll share practical strategies like the shadowing technique, active listening exercises, and tips to stop translating in your head. By the end, you'll have tools to understand fast English speakers with confidence.
That's right, Priya. And one of the most effective ways to improve is by practicing with real-life English. Watch movies, listen to podcasts, or even try shadowing, where you repeat what you hear immediately after the speaker. This helps you get used to the rhythm and speed of natural English. We'll also talk about how to focus on chunks of meaning instead of single words, which is a game changer for comprehension.
So, whether you're a beginner or an advanced learner, this episode is packed with tips to help you understand fast English speakers and speak English confidently. Stick around. This is going to be a game changer for your English journey.
First, let's talk about why fast English feels like a wall. It's not just about speed, it's about how native speakers talk. They use connected speech, reductions, and slang that aren't taught in textbooks. For example, "What are you doing?" becomes "What are you doing?" These shortcuts are everywhere in real-life English, and they're designed to save time in conversation. But for learners, it's like decoding a secret language. Even common phrases like "going to" turn into "gonna," and "want to" becomes "wanna." If you're only learning textbook English, these changes can leave you totally lost.
Exactly, Ryan. Another major hurdle is stress and intonation. Native speakers don't pronounce every word equally. They emphasize key words and swallow the rest. For example, in the sentence, I want to go to the store, only the bolded words get stress. The rest blur together. This makes it hard for learners to catch the main ideas. Plus, if you're still translating in your head, your brain is working overtime. By the time you process one word, the speaker has moved on to the next three. That's why thinking in English is so critical for keeping up.
And let's not forget accents. British, American, Australian, they all sound wildly different. Even within the same country, regional accents can trip up learners. For instance, a Texan accent might drop the G in words like fixin' to go, while a New Yorker might say coffee instead of coffee. These variations add another layer of complexity. But here's the good news. Once you train your ears to recognize common patterns, even fast English starts to make sense. We'll share how to do that later.
Absolutely. And don't forget cultural context. Native speakers often use idioms, phrasal verbs, or references to TV shows, music, or slang like ghosting or flexing. If you're not familiar with these, it's easy to feel lost. That's why exposing yourself to real-life English conversations through movies, podcasts, or even TikTok is so important. The more you immerse yourself, the more these mystery phrases start clicking into place.
So, to recap, fast English is hard because of connected speech, stress patterns, accents, and cultural slang. But the solutions are simpler than you think. Stick around. We're diving into actionable strategies next.
Now, let's get to the solutions. These are practical, step-by-step strategies you can start using today. Whether you're a beginner or an advanced learner, these tips will help you improve your listening skills and understand fast English speakers with confidence. Let's dive into the first strategy, training your ears with real-life English.
One of the best ways to improve is by exposing yourself to real-life English. Watch movies, Netflix shows, or YouTube videos with subtitles. Pay attention to how words are connected and how sentences flow. For example, in a movie, you might hear, I don't know, instead of, I don't know. These small changes are key to understanding fast English. Start with content you enjoy, like your favorite TV series, and gradually challenge yourself with faster-paced shows or podcasts.
Exactly, Ryan. And here's a pro tip. Try the shadowing technique. This means repeating what you hear immediately after the speaker. It's like training your mouth and ears to work together. For example, if you hear, what are you doing as what are you doing? Repeat it exactly as you hear it. This helps you get used to the rhythm and speed of natural English. You can even use apps like Spotify or YouTube to practice with short clips.
That's a great point, Priya. Shadowing not only improves your listening, but also your pronunciation and fluency. And don't worry if it feels hard at first. Start slow and speed up as you get more comfortable. The key is consistency. Even 10 minutes a day can make a huge difference over time.
Now, let's talk about the second strategy. Focusing on chunks, not single words. Native speakers don't think word by word. They think in phrases. For example, instead of hearing, I want to go to the store, they hear, I want to go to the store. This small shift in how you listen can make a huge difference. Start by identifying common chunks like, how's it going? Or what do you mean? And practice recognizing them in conversations.
Exactly, Priya. When you focus on chunks of meaning, you're training your brain to process English the way native speakers do. This is especially helpful when words blend together, like gimme for give me or lemme for let me. A great way to practice is by listening to daily English conversations or podcasts and picking out these chunks. Over time, your brain will start recognizing them automatically.
And here's a bonus tip. Use transcripts if they're available. Many podcasts and YouTube videos provide transcripts, so you can read along while listening. This helps you see how words are connected and how chunks are formed. It's like having a map for your ears.
That's a fantastic idea, Priya. Transcripts are a game changer for active listening and vocabulary building. They help you connect what you hear with what you read, making it easier to understand fast English. Let's move on to the third strategy, active listening. This means fully engaging with what you're hearing. Instead of just passively listening, try to summarize or repeat what you heard. For example, listen to a short news clip or podcast, then pause and say out loud what you understood. This builds your ability to catch key ideas, even at high speed.
That's right, Ryan. Active listening is like a workout for your ears. It forces you to focus on the main ideas and ignore distractions. A great way to practice is by using apps like Audible or Spotify, where you can slow down the audio if it's too fast at first. Start with slower content, like TED Talks or beginner podcasts, and gradually move to faster material.
And don't forget to mix it up. Listen to different accents, British, American, Australian, to train your ears for variety. You can also try listening exercises where you focus on specific sounds like contractions or reductions. For example, listen for all the gonna or wanna in a conversation. This sharpens your ability to catch these patterns in real time.
Exactly. The more you practice, the more natural fast English will sound. And remember, it's okay to replay something if you didn't catch it the first time. Active listening is all about patience and persistence. Now, let's talk about common reductions and contractions. Native speakers often shorten words to save time in conversation. For example, going to becomes gonna, and want to becomes wanna. These shortcuts are everywhere in fast English, and learning them will make it much easier to understand. Other examples include gimme for give me and lemme for let me. Once you recognize these patterns, fast English starts to feel less overwhelming.
Exactly, Priya. Reductions are like the secret code of spoken English. They're not usually taught in textbooks, but they're essential for real-life English conversations. For example, what are you doing becomes what are you doing? And I have got to go turns into I've gotta go. To practice, listen to podcasts, movies, or even songs, and try to pick out these reductions. We'll also drop a list of common ones in the show notes so you can practice them at your own pace.
That's a great idea, Ryan. And here's a tip. When you're practicing, try to mimic how native speakers say these reductions. For example, say gonna instead of going to in your own sentences. This helps you get comfortable with the rhythm and flow of fast English. Over time, your brain will start recognizing these patterns automatically, and you'll find it easier to keep up with conversations.
Absolutely. The more you expose yourself to these reductions, the more natural they'll sound. And remember, it's not about memorizing every single one. It's about training your ears to recognize them in real time. This is a game changer for improving your listening skills and understanding fast English speakers. Let's move on to our final strategy. Stop translating in your head. If you're still converting English into your native language, it's slowing you down. Your brain can't keep up with the speed of fast English if it's busy translating. Instead, train yourself to think in English. Start with simple thoughts like, I'm hungry, or it's raining, and gradually build up to more complex ideas.
That's so important, Ryan. Translating in your head creates a delay that makes it hard to follow fast conversations. A great way to practice thinking in English is by describing your surroundings. For example, look around the room and say, there's a table, a chair, and a window. Or when you're cooking, think, I'm chopping vegetables. These small steps help you build the habit of thinking directly in English.
Exactly. Another tip is to practice self-talk in English. When you're alone, talk to yourself about your day, your plans, or even your thoughts. For example, say, I need to finish this project by Friday, or I wonder what the weather will be like tomorrow. This not only helps you think in English, but also improves your fluency and confidence.
And remember, it's okay to make mistakes. The goal is to train your brain to process English without relying on translation. Over time, you'll notice that you can understand fast English more easily because your brain is working directly in English. It's a skill that takes practice, but it's worth the effort.
Now let's talk about how to make this a daily habit. Consistency is key. Start small. Even 10 to 15 minutes a day can build momentum. For example, listen to English podcasts like this one during your commute, or watch TED Talks while you eat breakfast. These bite-sized practices keep you engaged without feeling overwhelmed. Apps like Duolingo or BBC Learning English are perfect for structured, daily lessons. They're designed to fit into your routine, whether you're waiting in line or winding down at night.
Exactly, Ryan. And don't underestimate the power of real-life practice. Join English conversation groups online or find a language partner through apps like Tandem or HelloTalk. Talking to real people forces you to think on your feet and apply what you've learned. Even describing your day out loud in English while cooking or driving counts as practice. The goal is to make English a natural part of your day, not just a study session.
That's a great point, Priya. Another tip, use active listening during downtime. Play an English audiobook or podcast while doing chores. Focus on catching key phrases or common reductions like gonna or wanna. Over time, your brain will start picking up these patterns effortlessly. And if you miss something, rewind and listen again. It's all part of the training.
Absolutely. Remember, progress isn't about perfection. Even stumbling through a conversation or missing a few words is progress. The more you listen, the easier it gets. As Ryan said, consistency is key. Small, daily efforts add up to big results over time. Before we go, let's recap the key takeaways. First, train your ears with real-life English, movies, podcasts, and shadowing techniques. Second, focus on chunks of meaning, not single words. Third, practice active listening with tools like Audible or Spotify. Fourth, master common reductions like gonna and wanna. And finally, stop translating in your head. Think directly in English. These steps will help you understand fast English speakers and speak confidently.
And remember, it's okay to feel overwhelmed at first. Understanding fast English takes time. Celebrate small wins, like catching a phrase you used to miss or having a smooth conversation. Every bit of practice is a step closer to fluency.
If you found this episode helpful, share it with a friend who's also learning English. And don't forget to subscribe for more tips on improving your English fluency and listening skills. We drop new episodes every day to keep you motivated.
Thanks for listening to Speak Up. Keep practicing, stay consistent, and remember, every native speaker started where you are now. You've got this. We'll see you in the next episode.